Hi, I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. We'll check our visible satellite loop for the lower 48 on this September 3rd, and we see a powerful system up here, which we'll focus on here in a minute. But as has generally been the case here, there are nice quiet patches, including much of the eastern U.S., much of the northern and central Rockies, pretty quiet, much of Dallas area, Texas, pretty quiet, and much of California. Fairly quiet as well, but this certainly catches your attention. Let's see what's going on here. For the second time in a week, we have a powerful low pressure center digging southward in the upper atmosphere. This is the 500 millibar flow, about halfway up through where most of the weather is, the troposphere. And these are the steering currents, and these are strong winds. The closer these red lines are together, the stronger the implied wind blowing right along the channels. So this is, very winter-like, or at least mid-fall to mid-spring, that time frame. This type of weather system is usually not a summer system. Of course, it could be argued now we're transitioning out of summer pretty quickly here, but this is pretty powerful, and it's doing two things. It's driving some thunderstorms, and it's also reinforcing the cool air. Again, take a look at the surface map. So we have two high pressure areas. This one has modified itself after slipping down from Canada earlier this week, kind of sunning itself at the lower latitudes, warming up. Meanwhile, the new one is coming across the Canadian border as we speak, and that front races from Chicago into northern Kansas, and it is sparking against some storms. We'll take a closer look at that in just a minute. Here are the temperatures at 6 p.m. Central Daylight Time, including, while it's 84 in my hometown here of Springfield, it's only 64 degrees in the Omaha area, and it's 54 degrees in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and only 46 in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So very, very cool air for this time of year. It's a little early, but not unheard of. And let's take a look at the satellite loop, except now we're going to zoom in a little bit more, and you can see the storms rotating around this upper level system, including what I believe to be some more particles of Canadian wildfire, some smoke there. You can see the instability clouds here in Minnesota, and clearly an eruption of thunderstorms right there in eastern Kansas and central Kansas. Let's take a closer look. Well, here's a review of the severe weather that's expected in Kansas. This particular image was snapped, I think around 6 o'clock this afternoon, and this is a severe thunderstorm watch right here. Those were the current warnings as of the time that I snapped this. Look at the shadows. The longer shadows now being cast by these very tall storms here and here. Is very interesting to see that this time of year. If we take a look at a couple more things like the instability, so the air is moderately unstable. This is Cape. So we see some values out here in south central Kansas at 2,000, and some more unstable air out here in Arkansas. And indeed, there were some air mass thunderstorms developing because of that instability. But the combination of the forcing of the front and also the instability is causing some storms. This radar was snapped here, and just a plethora of warnings, including some hail cores here. When you start seeing those purple colors and maybe even a white color, that is a severe hail core. And we already had some hail reports in excess of 2 inches. So these darker orange boxes right here are hail reports from these storms as they passed from north to south. This is a 2.25 inch hailstone and a 2.75 inch hailstone. What's the severe weather chances? Well, it's a 1 and a 2 level risk here through that very same area. In fact, the yellow, which is called slight risk, just about mirrors where the severe thunderstorm watch is. It does include Topeka, Kansas City, Wichita, those areas, and the marginal risk does extend down almost to I-44 here in central and southern and southwestern Missouri. There is a slight tornado risk with these. I'm not too excited about it, but it does exist. About a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles right in this corridor here in east central Kansas, including Wichita, barely including Topeka, Salina, and all the expressways that run between those three, creating that nice little triangle. NATOcast does kind of confirm 2 to 3% chance right in that same general area. But generally speaking, as you saw, the storms were strong in terms of their hail production and maybe some gusty winds too. Tornadoes seem a little likely, but not impossible. One of those storms could organize itself, maybe along an outflow boundary enough to produce a weak tornado, but it doesn't look like a large threat. Well, here's a look at the tropical Atlantic first, then we'll take a look at the Pacific. But the Atlantic, this is pretty much going the way we thought it would. Every single day I look at this risk area, of course, as you would expect, shifts more westward with time and has gotten a little stronger. So now this is up to a 70% chance or greater of tropical storm formation here over the next 7 days. And really, I think it's going to happen quicker than that. If we take a look at that European set of ensembles I like to look at, it puts about a 30 to 40% chance of some sort of tropical system there just off to the east of the Leeward Islands. This is Thursday, 9/11, so that's, of course, next week. So we're really out there. Every week they update this. It was actually updated yesterday afternoon, but it's only updated once a week, so it's still pretty valid. So September 10th through the 16th, they're actually kind of watching the Gulf a little bit for some potential activity. It's not a real great chance, greater than 20, but less than 40. Same out here in the main development area. But then the week of September 17th through the 23rd, which is week 3, they really are upping the ante on more storms developing out here in the Atlantic. It would be interpreted that this area here is simply moving, and is this area here the next week, because these things do take their time to move along. But so far, every storm that's formed in the main development region has done this and curved like this. And it looks like the next one that forms will probably do that, but much depends on the troughing and ridging situation off the coasts of America, really. So it really is kind of hard to tell this far out whether the end of this storm track, if there is a storm there, will continue to barrel, west-northwest into the Gulf, or at least not be steered away and hit the East Coast. It's impossible to say at this point. The next storm on the list would be Gabrielle, and Humberto would be after that. It is an active month. Atlantic in September is very, very active. This is just named storms per 100 years, so we're at 70 plus in this dark red area. And as you can see, many of them curve out to sea harmlessly, but enough right here hit the coast, and there's some Gulf possibilities as well. Now we're going to go out to the Eastern Pacific real quick. I normally don't highlight this too much, but Lorena is a hurricane right here, pretty intense one, a little lopsided at this hour, but a lot of times these go more to the west. This one is actually going up. This is Mexico right here. This is the Baja Peninsula right here. So this storm is actually tracking northwest, is eventually going to track north and then slam into the peninsula and then cross over the bay. I think that's the Bay of California, and then become a tropical depression. Now, that is not really a serious storm threat for most people, but it is a rain threat, and I do think that that's something to talk about in this area here, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So on this graph, I usually show these day by day, but I thought it would be easier just to kind of thread them one on top of each other. So it's the rest of today, tomorrow, and Friday. There's a slight risk of some flash flood guidance being exceeded in these areas here. So basically, you get the picture. Southern Arizona, more or less, and also into the extreme southwest portion of of New Mexico, and that's for the next 3 days, actually 2.5 days, I guess. So the rest of tonight, tomorrow, and Friday. If we take a look at the quantitative precipitation forecast from the Weather Prediction Center, it does show areas. The yellow is 4-inch totals here, kind of creeping in, so you can literally see where this hurricane, then storm, then depression is heading just by watching the snail trail, the expected precipitation over the next 5 days. Also, South Florida still has stalled fronts. So these fronts that are coming into the northern plains producing all this nice cool weather get about that far south and then they die, which is one of the reasons why there's a little bit of watching of the tail end of fronts anytime you're in hurricane season, just to see if a leftover spin develops into something in the warm waters. It's not a real great threat, but it is something that is watched very carefully. If you look at the progression of the heavy rain hazard a little bit further out, so we go to the 6th and to the 7th, it goes from New Mexico and shifts into Texas. And then if we go even into more of a long range, the 9th through the 10th, coastal areas of North Carolina might be expecting some heavy rain. And then even more out, so the 11th through the 13th, Florida is still soggy, as is coastal areas of Georgia, South Carolina, and also North Carolina. And in fact, the 6 to 10 today precipitation outlook, which starts Tuesday of next week and goes through Saturday, does have fairly high confidence of that wet weather in the southeast. And increasingly, in an area that's been pretty hot recently, it looks like the good chances of it being pretty wet in parts of Idaho, and also even as far south as northern Nevada, California, certainly Oregon and Washington. Now let's switch gears and talk about temperatures. So this is the low temperatures for the individual cities tonight, including 34 in International Falls, 37 in Duluth, 36 in UP, Michigan. I'm not sure what town that is. And you can see the cool colors. So this color blue right here is below normal. And then all these reds out here are above normal. So it continues to be hot in the Northwest, but that's really the only place of significantly above normal heat. The rest of the country is doing great. And that's for low temperatures tonight, Thursday morning. And then on Thursday afternoon, very cool. The high in Duluth will only be 38. The high in Chicago, 67. The high in St. Louis, only 75 degrees. Our nation's capital get up to about 86 or so. Still pretty hot in interior Washington with some 100-degree readings popping up there. Going further ahead now to Saturday, look how much of the country is below normal. Everything's shaded in that greenish blue color. So except for a small portion of Washington, practically the whole country is cool or at least very close to normal. So the colors are the departures, so they're not real extreme except for that part of Washington. Then we go to Monday of next week. Still much of the nation showing below normal temperatures, with the coolest air expected in Oklahoma and northern Texas, parts of the Appalachians there in South and North Carolina, and in parts of New England as well. And the final map we'll look at, this is again the 6 to 10 day temperature forecast, Tuesday through Saturday. So New England, the eastern seaboard, high probability of being cool, heating up in the northern plains, and it looks like some weather systems are coming ashore in California and Nevada, as reflected by the fact that there's a pretty good confidence of below normal temperatures in that part of the world as well. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.